right, you guys, welcome back to the podcast. I'm joined again by my good friend Craig, all the way from London. How you doing, Craig?
I'm great, thank you. I'm great.
How's Rachel and Axel doing?
They are really good. They're having fun in the other room right now, playing games and whatever else. Probably watching Mickey Mouse again or something.
Oh, good. Make sure you say hi to them for me.
I will do.
All right, so today, we're gonna talk about some stuff. So one of the main things I wanted to talk about, we've been competing for quite a while. We're seasoned veterans at this point, I assume, and every fighter loves to talk about their wins, like the days when they had their best moments ever, when they were completely on fire. We've all heard the stories of the guys like, oh yeah, I had to beat 16 guys and I broke my arm in the first match, and at one point there was 2 people against me. Those war stories. Everyone loves hearing about those and talking about those. But we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to talk about our worst days ever. And I know like me in particular, I have a very distinct worst day ever when it comes to tournaments and point fighting. But I don't know if I've ever heard your worst day ever.
Oof, I've got a few as well. Nothing on your one. Nothing on your one.
Yeah. So first, it's kind of like set the stage for this. I think the last time you were on here, we didn't really talk about how we met, and like how we met kind of also plays into this a little bit too. So we met through a mutual friend of ours, Jody Tension, great martial artist, arguably one of the top guys in the game. Yeah. And I remember just getting a random invite to lunch, and we were in Ireland for the WKC Worlds, maybe 4 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, it was 2016. It was.
Okay, yeah, so 4 years ago. And I remember just getting this text, oh hey, getting lunch with some friends. Do you want to go? And I was like, I really don't want to go. But then I think I even told him, no, I'm not going to go. And then 5 minutes later, I said, oh, hey, are you guys still going? I'll go.
Had you just lost?
No.
I think.
Cause I don't think I'd competed yet.
I think I'd already lost by then.
Was it? I feel like it was early in the tournament. I think only Continuous had gone.
Oh, maybe I hadn't. Maybe I was preparing to lose.
So I ended up going, and it was me, and it was me, Johnny, Kyle, and Matthew. That's why I just assumed I was going out to eat with. I've been hanging out with those guys throughout the entire time. And he goes, "Oh, we're going to meet up with some friends of mine from England." So we go to Nando's, which is an amazing chicken place that I wish there was more of here in the States. There's only 4 in the United States, and none of them are close.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you guys are.
Yeah, they're everywhere here.
Yeah, you guys are lucky with that. And so we meet, and we hit it off right away. I felt like we were all kind of laughing and joking, but I think we were all doing that thing that I think any competitor does when they meet a fellow competitor. We're all kind of wondering, are these people good? Because it's well, Jody's good. I assume the people Jody knows are good. And you start thinking, are we good? Am I good? I think all of us had a terrible showing at that tournament.
Did Matt win it? Matt did well, didn't he?
Matt did. Yeah, that was a tournament when Matt knocked that dude out with that.
Yeah. He won. He did win. Yeah.
Yeah. So Matt had a good day actually. Me and Kyle did okay in teams. That was about it.
Yeah, I remember that. I did terrible. We didn't do a team, I don't think. If we did, I wasn't in it. No, I didn't fight in teams.
Yeah, I don't think you guys did. But yeah, I just remember we're all kind of oh yeah, yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're telling each other that.
Yeah.
Kind of telling the stories of stuff we've won and what we've done. And then just not being able to prove that on the mat.
It took me more than just one day to try and prove it. If I remember right.
Yeah. Well, then a couple months later, we're at the Irish Open, and we all have another terrible round of showing how good we are, and we're just like, no, man, listen, for real, like we are good. I am good, I promise.
I think it was terrible for me because I remember that when you watched, and it was me, Dan, and who else? Someone else, it was me, Kyle, Dan, and someone else on the team, and two of them are my students, and they both won their fight. Kyle won his fight, and I got annihilated.
I think I remember like sitting up in the stands, like you and Rachel, and I think you were even saying like I just want to show these guys that I'm good. I was telling them how good I am, and I can't prove it.
That was a bad day.
It is and is that not the worst feeling when you're like I am good? People tell me I'm good, but then like for whatever reason you just can't win a match.
Oh no, that is awful. Like especially when you haven't seen me train, or like it's not like you train with them or anything. They literally at that point. Well, actually, we trained together, haven't we, before Ireland? But even then, it was still like, but you need to see the real product. Like, there was nothing. I remember running. I remember spending 2 minutes just running into a reverse punch from some Italian guy. So, hi, I'm Craig. My students are all better than me, but I also try and compete. But that was a bad day. That was a bad day. It was a good weekend, but a bad day.
Yes.
The next day was better.
Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah. I think that's the trip where we went to England afterwards, right?
Yeah. No, you came before.
We came before.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you met Rachel's family and stuff.
Yeah. That's right. But yeah, like, and it's worse too because like we have Jody saying, "Oh yeah, these guys are good." He was telling us like how good you and your guys were and stuff, and he would always do that like around us like, "Oh yeah, these guys." He would like say like me, Kyle, or Matt, like, "Oh yeah, these guys are good," and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so when you have someone like building you up, and then you just can't live up to it,
and then you start doubting yourself, don't you? You're like, "Hang on a minute, am I actually good, or am I just making this up?" Because it's just going downhill. It just went down, confidence crisis. Yeah,
you start getting like a little bit of like imposter syndrome. Like, does he really think I'm good, or is he just saying that?
Yeah. These guys won't want to be friends with me.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm gonna get unfriended here.
Like, why does he like me?
That's a horrible feeling.
It is, man. It is. So, how about like I'll start unless you want to start. Unless you have
I have loads. I have loads. I have some short ones and some longer ones, but I can remember many. How
about we go with you? So give me like what you think is one of your worst days when it comes to competing.
I think my worst one I can remember because it's quite recent was with you in Miami. I think that one is up there. I have a couple of other ones, but I mean that one is up there with like if you could pick a day to make like the only thing we would have made it worse is if we was in an airplane. Like I had all my like top extreme fear of tall buildings, arriving at the tournament and being on the top floor, and then having to fight right by the window was up there with the worst. I actually don't think it's my worst one. I think my worst one was I tore my calf early in, I can't remember what year it was. It was a long time. I think it's actually 2012. I tore my calf early in the year, and it took me about 6 months to get back to being able to like fight properly. And I said, I'm going to do the WACO European Championships. And I just left my old club. And when we went, I had loads of my old club going as well on the British team. So I'd done a horrible cut for the tournament to get down to 74s, which I wanted to fight 79s, but they put me in 74s. I don't know why. That's the way they do it over here. They just move you around whenever they want. And we got there, and I'd fought the guy I was fighting. I had fought 2 weeks before, and drew. Like I think he beat me on sudden death, but it was a super close fight. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do really well here. And it was a free round. It was 3 rounds at the WACO, any of the Worlds or Europeans. So I was like, okay, I've got this. I had this big pep talk before. It was in Romania as well, and I got on the mat, and I'm all psyched up and ready, and I thought, I'm gonna, you know, show who I am and all that stuff. Like this is my time to make my mark.
Mm-hmm.
Within 2 minutes, I'd lost 10-0. And if you didn't know, these are expensive trips, man. Like,
yes.
These are. It cost me £1,000 to go, which is astronomical figures to go to a European country that you can fly to for like £30 normally. And the thing is, now I'm not criticizing organizations or anything like that, but once you lost on this particular event with this particular team, once you lost, they didn't speak to you again for the entire trip.
You were dead.
I also want to point out that the guy I lost to, I just had a terrible performance. Everything was happening. It just feels like it's happening too fast.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like I was sort of blinded by the lights, and it was one of my first real big events anyway. But I just remember I dieted for like 4 months to get down to the weight, and I did all it was horrible, and I was training super hard, and it sucked because it's just like I worked unbelievably hard, and then it just fell apart in seconds. And it was such a big occasion, but that was on the I think we was there for like 8 days, and we fought on the 3rd day. So once I lost, I still had 5 days of being at this tournament in Romania, which I don't know if you've been to Romania, but I wouldn't ever go back to Romania. There wasn't much, it was a horrible hotel. There was just nothing there for me. And I basically got ignored after losing for 5 days when no one spoke to you. It was almost like you were in the corner of shame. There was another guy that got put there with me who he fought another Irish guy who was really good. Another guy I fought won. And now I sat down after, and obviously I was gutted. And I watched loads of other people from the team. It is what it is. They all got the easy draw. Fighting people that had way less experience than them. Scoring good, just getting through. Got to the evening, and I remember the evening that day, you had the team talk, and I thought, they'll say something, to try and cheer me up. They were like, this person won this fight against Turkey, blah, blah, this person won against Slovenia, and they were bigging all these people up. And then he just bypassed me and this other guy. I'm not going to name them because I'll probably get told. But they just bypassed us, and no, I don't. It was like we didn't exist anymore. Like we'd been deleted off of the team. And then for 5 days, I had to stay in Romania, obviously, and just sit there while everyone else. Obviously, most people went out, and no one won. But it just sucked that it wasn't just a losing, but it was the experience of it as well. If I won my first fight, I would have at least had a little bit of a good time. But
yeah.
I put that down as my worst ever trip away by a long way. There was no fun. There was no enjoyment. I fought terrible, and it just sucked. And it was such a big event, and I was expecting to do I don't know what I was expecting. I don't know if I was ready to get a medal, but when I look at the rest of the group, I got, I got the winner straight away. So it is what it is, but it just sucked, and it was embarrassing as well. It was embarrassing to have your other former club mates there. No one cheering for me, nothing, just on my own, no friends. It literally was just it was just a terrible experience, man. I just sat there, and you think, I wish I'd just do anything to go home right now.
Yes.
And I was like, I've got another 5 days here. Luckily, I do have a good friend from that tournament, actually, that I'm still friends with, who was also in the losers corner with me. And we kind of just shared our bitterness for the whole rest of the week, moaning about everyone else and complaining. But that was a tough day, man. That was a tough day.
Yeah,
it was a tough week.
That's what sucks about those week-long tournaments, man. And people don't realize that, we spend a lot of money and we fly a lot of hours for just a singular 2-minute shot to hopefully advance to the next round and fight another 2 minutes.
Yeah, and even to compete, I didn't even compete. He 10 cleared me. I didn't even get to finish. I didn't even get my money's worth of finishing a round. He just cleared me off and left. It's the worst feeling. Being beaten by 10 normally is not good, but being just annihilated that quickly was.
Yeah.
It was just horrible. It was so horrible.
And what can someone say to you when they 10 clear you? What can your support system say?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You're terrible. That was it. It was so bad. I mean, that's the worst. That's probably not the worst loss I've had in terms of like um embarrassment. But it was the worst loss in terms of the whole experience and the amount of work I put in. Like that was I sacrificed a hell of a lot that year to try and get there in the first place, and it
Yeah.
was just just all fell apart, and it was just all wrong. Like I wish I'd never gone. Even now, like there's a learning experience. I thought well the next year, but I mean that was just it was just painful. And it was like the guys, like some of them like I didn't get on with were enjoyed watching me lose,
Mm-hmm.
And they did a team event, and they did the team event in the later on in the week, and I didn't get selected because I didn't win my fight, but other people got selected because they won fights. Then when they met someone good, they lost. It's not like if I got a couple of easier fights, I would have been on the team. I didn't really get a chance to even redeem myself. Like it was just horrible. I got a picture of me holding the flag. There's like a big team picture, and I just looked furious. I wasn't even attempting to look like I was part of the team. It was just horrible. Thankfully, I've had a lot of better experiences than that now. But like I had even at that World Championships where we met. I remember I was drawing. It was the first round, and I was drawing with the guy I was fighting. I was like, okay, you've got to win by 2. So it was about 2 seconds before the end. And instead of just like waiting out 2 seconds, the guy had his leg up, and I basically ran first into his foot. Like, okay, that's the end of my World Championships. It took me forever to get over them kind of events. Anything the Europeans or Worlds, I just used to just go to pieces. But
Yep.
I feel like I finally broke that block out of it. It was horrible, but
That's a hard block to break. That is, because there's more pressure than normal, I feel like.
Yeah, and every time you go after you've lost before, I think it gets harder. It depends on how you approach it. Like I did fix it, but yeah, for a while it became like just horrid. They're just seeing it as like a huge thing. But yeah, man, that's one. That one was my big. That one was the toughest. It wasn't funny, though. I mean, that is horrible. I mean, there's some funnier stories. Like I remember once when I went to Italy, I did a mega diet to get down. I was like, I'm going to be an under 69. I'm going to be an under 74 fighter for the rest of the year. And I went on some super diet, and I was like, I don't want to fight minus 79 anymore. But I'm going to register in my 79s division because I want to do more than one division.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to the tournament, and I was like, here we go. 74s came up. I got beat 10-0 in the first minute and a half. I started rushing. And then I did my normal division, ended up coming second. And I was like, I could have saved myself months of misery and not dieted and just done my normal division and got fucking silver anyway. That was horrible. The horrible diet, putting himself for a horrible diet, definitely is the worst thing, especially if you lose after doing it.
Oh yeah.
I think the dieting is harder than the fighting, especially if you lose. Because I just think, man, I just sacrificed. Every time, food is such a big thing in your life. And when you have to fucking sacrifice it, that's the first thing I think about.
It was all for nothing.
Yeah, I could have had a donut ages ago.
I wasted all that time.
Exactly.
I so many sweets.
Yeah. But how many times have you been at a meal? Your divisions are a bit different, but I mean, how many times have I been at meals and gone, oh, have a salad or something like that? And then when you get you do all that for, like you said, for 2 minutes, you pay all that money, you fly all the hours, you do all the diet and you do all the training for sometimes just to fuck it up in 2 minutes. It's just, it's soul destroying.
It is, man.
And I'm a terrible loser as well. I'm a terrible loser. Yeah. I'm the kind of guy that throws, I know I shouldn't, but I mean, I would sit up all night after I lose, and I just stare at the ceiling. It takes me weeks. Sometimes I can be holding on to a loss for weeks. I get back and I'm writing stuff down, and I can't. You just can't let it go. I can't let losses go very well.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, most of the really good people though are not great losers because they hate losing. You know what I mean? You can't.
Yeah, you can't be. Yeah. I mean, I don't understand anyone who can be happy, who can go into a tournament. I got second. Oh, that was good. Or third. I can't. I can't do that. Even if I know, even if in the past when I fought people that are better than me, I still plan to win. Even if I'm.
Oh yeah.
Even if everyone goes, you're never going to win, I still plan to win. And when I lose, I'm equally as annoyed, whether they're brilliant or average.
Yeah. Because there's no other feeling than, when you look at the entire division, you go, yeah, none of these dudes could beat me.
Yeah.
And that feeling is great.
Oh, yeah.
like second place doesn't get that. Second place is like, well, all right, none of you guys, except for you, could beat me.
Yeah.
You want to be the top guy.
Oh, yeah. It's, anything else, it doesn't sit well with me. I'm a competitor, I'm not happy taking home the smaller trophy. I don't like seeing someone standing above me on a podium. Like, it is what it is. And I think to be fair, most people that do our sport share that philosophy, especially with individual sports.
Yes.
Because we ain't got no one carrying us through. Like, when you lose, it's on you. You can't,
you can't blame
you blame the
teammates.
refs. Yeah. No, exactly. You can't. Like, people try and blame the referees, don't they, sometimes? But I mean, even then, when you get home, you might make all the excuses in the world on the day, like, I normally I fight better than that, just people and stuff. But when you get home and you lay down in bed and no one's there, like, that's when you sit there and you have to accept it, don't you?
Oh yeah, one of the best things I've heard, best pieces of advice I've gotten is they told me that win or lose, you always got what you deserve.
Yeah,
that's an easy pill to swallow. When you win, you're like, yeah, I deserve this win. But when you lose, it's like, oh God, I deserved that loss. Like, something happened either in the match or during my training or during any of my prep up beforehand that like led me to this conclusion of me losing.
Man, that is such a cool phrase. I'm stealing that. I'm going to use that all the time. That is a good phrase.
I tell my guys
that is so representative of what we do, like 100%, because it really is like that. Yeah, that is a perfect way of explaining. Because it's so easy to make the excuses, but especially when you lose, man.
Yeah.
Like,
and like I said, easy to swallow when you're on top, hard when you get 10-0'd.
yeah.
Because like at that point, like you can't be blaming the refs, you can't be blaming this. It's like maybe you skipped a couple practices, and I that's kind of the context when I'll use it on my guys. Maybe you didn't come to as many practices, or maybe you weren't working as hard as you could have. Maybe you weren't focusing on your conditioning, that kind of stuff. And
as well, when you get on the mat and you haven't worked hard, that you know right then. That's what I say to my guys. Like, you don't want to be walking on the mat having a regret, and that is the worst feeling. I've had that, like, where you walk on and you go, I have not. And you look at, especially when you look across the other guy, and that if they're good, you think, this guy looks ready, and he looks like he's been doing all the things I haven't been doing. That's the worst. And I've had that a couple of times where I've lapsed off. Like,
being on the mat and you look across and you go, oh, I think this guy's a lot better than me. That's a bad feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to be able to say, there's no way this guy could have worked harder than me. Like, and when you feel that gives you so much confidence as well. I feel like
it does, man.
That makes you or breaks you, that moment where you look across at the other person. Sure.
It does. And like, I know, like when I've been really good, when I've been on fire, like, there was always that voice in my head saying, oh, you got this.
Yeah.
Like before the match even started, it was like, oh, like you've won this match. And like even like looking across at guys who, maybe on paper might have been better than me, but for whatever reason, man, like my training was really good. My prep was really, really good. And, in my head, I got that voice saying, oh, I got this. And then it just ends up happening and going my way. And that's the key is just consistently having that happen all the time.
Yeah.
All right. So
losing is one of the worst. Man.
Oh, it is. It is. So I'll give you my losing story, but to set it up and give it a little bit of context first. All right. So this was for our WKC national tryouts, and so the way we do our WKC tryouts here is we have regional qualifiers and then we have national qualifiers. All right. So the regional qualifiers do one of two things. They either take the top 4 or they take the top 8. The top 8, all right? Now, the regional qualifiers are always pretty small, and no division ever has more than 8 people. So you just...
Wait, yours wasn't an 8, was
it? So for the regional qualifier, it was top 8.
Okay.
So, yeah. And so that year, I think what happened was, like, there was only maybe like 10 adults And so like there was like one from each weight class plus like I think maybe two of us in heavyweight, or two in heavy, two in light heavy, and we just ended up doing like a normal bracket like we would at any other tournament. Instead we all went.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like I understand why they do it. It does kind of like water the feeling down for me when you take so many people. And so, but like the idea is for the national qualifiers, we're going to have a ton of competitors and then take the top 4 from those. How do you guys do it with the Team England?
We have one tournament and that's it. So it's just same thing, top 4 if you're in your division. And yeah, that's it pretty much. We just have one tournament. The country's not big enough to have more, so we don't have any like regionals. It's just one national. It is literally the nationals, and then they select from there. And yeah, top 4 again. Top 4 again. Yeah. Most of the time, four never go in there. So you get 4 men sometimes. We would never have 4 men in one division. Maybe 2, maybe. Yeah, sometimes 1. Like.
So that's how our nationals are, and I feel like 8 times out of 10, 80% of the time, none of the divisions have more than 4 people. All right. And except for the heavyweight men's division, which is just the division I happen to be in. Sometimes that division has 4. A lot of times it has more than 4. It's kind of like the catch-all division. if any division is going to have a lot of people, it'll be the heavyweight men's division. And
it's so weird because over here we don't like the men's heavyweights here is empty normally.
Yeah.
It's the middleweights is the busy one here.
What weight class is Elijah?
He's like, I don't know what you would call it, but maybe like light middleweight.
They all avoiding his division.
Oh yeah, he also happens to be in my division most of the time as well. He does his one and comes up into mine all the time too. My one is normally the busiest one. 79s over here. Yeah, would normally be the main sort of weight, I think. Yeah, that's between 74 and 79 here is the 2 peak numbers. But like you said, most people dodge the 74s, isn't it? Soon it's just going to be him in it.
Yeah. That's what like Avery's division is like that. Avery is light heavyweight, and like no one ever does. Like, there'll always be like him and like one random guy that nobody knows.
That's it. There you go. That's what happens. It's clearing out the division, pushing them into everyone else's division.
They get smashed, and that's it. So when we do our qualifiers, so if you have 4 or less, everyone makes it, whatever. But it's just they just do a normal 1 2-minute round, and then the finals will be 2 2-minute rounds. We do that. Do you guys do that?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So for the divisions that are more than 4, we do double elimination, which I really like. I like double elimination is good, like especially if like for me, like for whatever reason, like my first fight is typically not my best fight, which in a single elimination sport is a terrible trait to have. But like I need that like warm up kind of fight, you know what I mean? Like as long as I get myself warmed up really, really well, I tend to to get past that.
Yeah.
Like it helps if you have an awful first draw. It helps if you are kind of like that guy who like needs to get hit in the face once or twice before like it finally all clicks together.
Yeah.
And like you really feel like you get your money's worth. So I remember. One year, like there was like 10 of us in the heavyweight division, and I top 4'd in that one, and like that was one of the highlights of my WKC competing because like it like you knew like okay like I am good enough to be here. Like there's none of that. Yeah. Am I really good?
Yeah. If there's 10 people and you make the 4, then
oh yeah,
sure.
And we had some really good dudes that year.
Yeah.
So, well, this is not that year. This is 2 or 3 years ago, and I've got a big group with you of guys from my school. I think there's like 12, maybe 13 of us going. And the competition I think was in Ireland, so like we knew like the teams were going to be small anyway. we figured every division was going to have 4 or less people. So we get there, and sure enough, all of my kids, 4 or less. All of my teens, 4 or less. My other adults, men and women, 4 or less. Madeline only had like 1 person in her division. One division had 5 people. And of course, it was the heavyweight division. So everyone
that's in the whole tournament as well, right?
In the whole tournament. Just the heavyweight men's had over 4 people. So everybody who signed up for the tournament at this point has already made the team. And this is the last division to go. Everyone who has walked through the door, paid their, I don't know, $55, $65, stepped on the scale, has made Team USA. They didn't have to fight. They could have just went out there, bowed, shook hands, and, went back to their car and drove home. And they would have made the team. But the heavyweights got to fight for it. One person isn't going to make it. So.
But how many people were at these qualifiers?
There was probably 200 people, it feels like.
One person.
Yeah, there was probably 201 people, all right? And one person wasn't going to make it. Out of all the forms, out of all the weapons, out of all the fighting, there's just one spot that couldn't be filled.
The odds are very much with you.
Got to cut one person. One person's holding us down too much. We get all the so I'm in the heavyweight division. So it's me, Ant, Cameron, Devin Hopper, and Akin Williams. And I'm like, as long as I don't draw Cam, I'll be happy. like he's just like, I didn't want to draw him first. Like I drew him first a couple months before in Chicago, and that didn't, go well. But luckily I didn't. So I end up drawing Devin. And now the night before, and I'm not saying this to make excuses, but I'm just saying this is this was just terrible for me. For whatever reason, I couldn't sleep. And I'm really bad at forcing myself to go to sleep. If I don't feel tired, I will continue. I'll do anything to stay out of the bed if I'm not tired. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I probably didn't go to bed until about 3 or 4 in the morning, which I'm not a professional athlete, but I feel like most professional coaches would probably say you shouldn't do that. That's probably not good. But I can't even use this as an excuse. So I go out there, and for whatever reason, I basically forgot how to fight. I get 10 cleared in about a minute. I score no points. Because you can 10 clear someone and be 5-15. Well, at least you scored 5 points.
Yeah.
I got
that's what I've had.
0. I scored 0 points. I wasn't able to connect a fist or a foot. I didn't even get one of the accidental points that bad judges give you. And it's awful, man, because in the beginning of the match, you have all this cheering going on for you. I had a good crowd for my school there, and you halfway through the match, you just hear the crowd dying down.
Just leaving. Let's go get to the car quick.
They start taking off their uniform tops. We don't know this guy at all. So I lose bad, and I had no idea what happened. And that's the worst feeling ever. Typically when you lose, you can go, okay, well, I did this wrong, I did this wrong, I did this wrong. I didn't even know what I did wrong. Because I'm just what happened? It was awful. So now I have the pressure situation where I'm well, damn it, now I need to win this next match. And, hopefully, that goes well. And I assume it's okay, well, I either have to fight. I saw Cameron won his match something. Okay, well, I'm either gonna have to fight Ant or Aachen. I'm like, okay, like I'm feeling like all right with those matchups and stuff like that. And even Avery, like Avery came up to me, he goes, "Man, what happened?" I go, "I don't know." He goes, "Well, you're probably going to fight Aachen next, so you should be good. Just do this, and this, all that kind of stuff." All right, so I start getting myself hyped up, and I start like telling myself, "You know what, Ben, you do better in the pressure situations anyway. This is when you perform, baby. This is it. This is the time."
Full of confidence.
Some brilliant false confidence to really get me going. And all my people, like some of my people are coming out to me. "Oh yeah, you got this. Just forget that last one. Didn't happen. Blah 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 blah. It's all good. All right." I don't know how this happened in the bracket. I feel like this isn't wrong. I feel like this isn't correct. This should not happen. In a double elimination bracket, you should not have to immediately fight the guy that just beat you again.
No, they should have moved on. That probably didn't make any sense.
Yeah. So somehow the brackets I'm sure get messed up. So I have to end up having to fight Devin again. So he just 10 cleared me in about a minute. I scored 0 points. So I go out there and he 10 clears me again. 10-0. No points scored my way. All right. And if
he must have been having the best day.
Well, if the first one took 1 minute, he savored this one. This one took about 1:59. Like the bell didn't ring, but he took damn near all the time he had to do it. And man, do you know how awful that feels to be out there? Like I remember at one point just bouncing, just being like, "Shit, man, just get it over with."
Just
come on, man, just do it.
Finish me.
Yeah, and he'd wait for me to like do something first, and just back for like I ran into probably 3 back fists with my hands down, just basically like stepping into them and not being able to like block and punch or anything like that. It was really weird because like I remember fighting pretty well at like the regionals. My weight was down. I was feeling really quick and light on my feet. But for whatever reason, man, I was just slow, sluggish, and did not know how to fight that day.
It does happen, though. I mean, I think everyone can say they've had a day like that. But just not when you're the only person that can go out.
Yeah. So, and I specifically remember too. I'm like halfway through the match, and I'm sure you know this feeling too. Like when your heroes are there watching you. The people who you like look up to in the sport, when they're watching, like it feels good when you win and they watch you, right? Like, but when you see them like shaking their head during the match, they're like covering their face and going, "Oh God!" Like that is incredibly demoralizing.
Ben, I just lost you.
Oh, you lost me. All right, I'll repeat it. I said, and I'm sure you've noticed this, but it feels really good like when you like win matches in front of like, the people you look up to, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like when you win, like for me, like when I would win matches in front of like Jotty or Plowden or any of those guys, that's a great feeling because you're like, yeah, I am good, and they saw me.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But I remember halfway through the match, I look over and, there's these guys who, I look up to. I consider them mentors, and they got me into the sport. And they're just like covering their face, shaking their heads, and being like, "Oh God, what's happening?"
They're not even angry; they're just disappointed.
Oh yeah.
When they feel sorry for you, that's the worst.
Oh, that is, man. That is. It's like they're watching like a puppy get put down. I couldn't even call the match a slaughter because like it wasn't even particularly violent.
Oh no!
Oh yeah.
God.
So yes.
Oh, no.
I'm like 8 points down. like my side is just completely quiet. Like they know he ain't gonna mount a comeback from this. There's like 30 seconds left. He ain't gonna score 10 points.
It's like a funeral.
It's so hard not to give up in those situations too, where you're just like, "All right, dude, come on, man. Rest, can we just call it now?" Have I not clearly demonstrated that I don't have what it takes to win this match? Why are we still going? Why are you guys letting him kick me?
Step in, please.
So I get 10 cleared again.
Mercy killing.
Yeah. Oh man, God, yeah. If this was one of those ones where it was like most points wins no matter what, no mercy rule. Oh, he would have ran the score up on me so high, man. So I lose that match, and man, like losing sucks. Losing in front of your students suck. Losing in front of like the parents suck. Losing in front of like the people you look up to really sucks. And then like I start thinking about it, and it really hits me. All right, I was the only person at that tournament who really lost a match that counted for something. Not only that, I was the only person who lost 2 matches. Nobody else had to fight and lose 2 matches. And I lost 20-0. How many tournaments have you lost 20-0, Craig?
No, that has never happened to me.
In 4 minutes.
In
4 minutes, I didn't even like accidentally clash with the dude and get like the maybe points. I don't think a judge ever lifted their hand up my way.
There's no debate. No.
None. There was no clashes, no accidental points, no bad calls, nothing. And man, I got so salty and upset because all of my people, they made it. So they're all happy. They're all posting the pictures with their medals and their little certificates saying they made it. And they're all like, oh, well, you can come and coach us. And I'm like, I ain't going to Ireland. I hate karate. I'm staying as far away from it as possible.
How many times have you quit because of a loss? Like in the moment, you've come off the mat and like, that's it, I'm done. I'm never doing this again. I think I've done that every time I've lost.
That was probably the worst one.
You start telling your family you're quitting just so it upsets them as well.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's like I tried so hard to be like happy for my guys, and I probably did an all right job there. But in my head, I'm just like, you didn't earn it. You earned nothing. You were given a spot because of the luck of the draw. You didn't have anyone in your division. And then I started thinking, you know what? I've been doing these WKC tournaments for a couple years, quite a few years. And I start going back to like the history of it. And it turns out I'm the only person who's ever had to fight and earn their spot. None of my guys have ever had more than 4 people in their division. None of them. I'm the only one who's ever had to successfully fight for their way onto the team. They've never had that experience. They've never had to do it. They've all been lucky because there's only 3 or 4, 2 kids in their division. And like when I started thinking about that, I'm just like, to heck with all these guys. I don't want to coach them. I don't want to practice with them.
Oh, I hate that. Do you know what? That is one of the truest things. Though, so hard. Oh man, I am the worst. If I was you, I would have been blaming everyone but me. Like in that moment, I would have been like, if Rachel was sitting there in the corner, I would have been like, "This is your fault. You didn't tell me the right thing. You didn't help me train. You weren't there for me." I blame the referees. I'd be attacking the referees. Did you not see anything I did there? I'd be coming up with anything. I'd be making up anything I could to not feel it like that.
How did you not see any of my points? What do you mean you got 20 points on me? Unfortunately, I wasn't in much of a position to argue.
Everyone witnessed it.
That's the word. Because like when you can blame the refs, I mean, you should never blame the refs. But like when you can, there's that like little momentary of like, oh, this wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
I couldn't even do that.
It takes the edge off a little bit.
It
Like,
does. I couldn't even blame the refs because my performance was so bad.
At least you was honest with yourself in the moment.
Oh, I was.
You couldn't see man in serious denial over here. 20-0 down. It was all the referees' fault.
Oh yeah. I think it's like we were in Detroit, and so it's like a 4-hour drive home. And like some of my people are like, oh, we're gonna go out to eat. You're like, nah, I'm going home. I got things to do.
I'm gonna cry.
Like, I can't go out to eat with you guys. You guys have fun. Celebrate your non-victories.
We're not on the same team anymore.
I know. They're all gonna listen to this and be like, oh my God, he doesn't care. But to be fair, in my defense, I was like incredibly salty and upset. So.
Oh yeah, how could you not be? I think everyone can empathize with that.
Oh yeah. So. And man, like driving home from a tournament, like the worst is obviously like staying a week. Like if I had to stay in Detroit a week and be around these guys, I would have jumped off the nearest bridge, for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because when you're in the environment as well, you can't get your mind off of it.
No.
Like you need to escape. Like it becomes like you can make it 20 times bigger than it is if you stay around for too long after a loss. Man. You've got to get out. Like. Yeah. Well, I have to.
Yeah, especially like if you're at the tournament, you have all those people coming up to, oh man, how'd you do? How'd your fight go?
That's a horrible feeling.
That is, man. Like I remember my very first WKC. It was in Canada. I didn't even qualify for fighting. I qualified for weapons. But most of the people knew me as a fighter, so they're all like, "Oh, when are you fighting, Ben?" I'm like, "I'm not fighting. I'm just gonna be like swinging this stick around at the air."
I'm spinning sticks.
Yeah. like that kind of sucked. Yeah. Oh man, like if this was at like Ireland or Orlando or wherever it was gonna be, and this would have happened, I would have disappeared so fast. You guys would have never seen me again. Like, did he really exist at all? Was he a real person? We never saw him since.
His name's always on the fair to qualify list. He's the only name on there.
And so like normally like I'll hang around the tournaments, time to catch up with people who I only see at tournaments. I'll talk to like Plowd and Jody and all those guys. I was out of there. I was like, Madeline, we're leaving. We have to go. She rode up with me. So we load up the car, and like I'm seeing people already celebrating on Facebook. I'm just like, I'm not gonna like it. I'm not gonna engage in any of it. I get in the car, and I got like 4 hours on the way home. No radio. I'm not even talking to Madeline. Just silence. Just pure silence. Because Madeline made it. Madeline, I think she only had one person in her division.
She's the enemy now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, God, and that reminded me. And when I was like thinking back on this stuff, and I'm thinking back of like my people when they made it, I had a lot of people make it by losing their fights and still making the team.
Oh wow, really?
Like like if you make like the person who gets like third and fourth, they lost their fights.
Yeah, of course. Oh yeah,
Division of 4, they lost. They're the losers, and we never fought third and fourth place. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, like I didn't even get on the team for that. I had people who lost matches and made on the team before me. Which just it was all these little knives just digging deeper into me.
Yeah.
And so
I feel your pain. I feel the pain.
So I get in the car, and I'm driving, and I see a gas station, and like I don't even need gas at this point. And like we're maybe like a half hour down the road. I just pull off into this gas station in front of a gas pump, turn the car off, and I just slump down on the wheel. and just do not. I'm just if you guys are only being able to hear this, can't see it. I got my arms on the wheel and my head just laying on top of it, and I'm just silent for probably like 10 or 15 minutes. And Madeline's like, Ben, what are you doing? And I go, nothing. I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything ever again. This is it. I'm just going to stay here. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to go home. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do karate. This is it.
I live here now.
Yeah, I just want to be here at this gas station. She goes, you have to drive me home. I go, no. She said, well, like, I'll drive. Get out of the car. Like, I don't even want to get out of the car. Like, I'm just going to be here. She starts, like, trying to, like, push.
This is me now.
Like, this is my life now. I'm a gas station troll. So I had about like a 20-minute pity party in this gas station with Madeline. Like, I have plans tonight. You got to get me home. What are you doing? Suck it up.
It's just, I think it's equal. Go on, Joe, go.
I'm like driving home and I just start yelling, I suck at karate. I hate it. I'm so bad.
It's like you turned back into a 7-year-old.
It is. I was like, I'm never doing it again. I hate tournaments. They're stupid.
Oh. It is the worst. I think it's the embarrassment as well, isn't it? Like,
oh yeah, it's incredibly embarrassing.
I hate it when you feel embarrassed after a loss, especially when you know that you haven't given anywhere near what you can normally do. Like,
no,
that's how I felt in Miami. I was like, oh, I'm here, like, and then I was like, all the people that know me here, like, they know I can fight sometimes and stuff. Like, they've seen me at other tournaments, and then I just put on that level of awful performance was just. It just makes you feel shit, especially because the other person never, ever, ever thinks that you've not fought well if they beat you. That's it. Like, in their head, they fought the best version of you. Like,
yes.
like whether or not you fought well or not, they go off and they think they go, I beat you. Yeah. Like, and I've had that with a couple of people where I'm like, you beat me on my worst possible fucking day. Like, you've never met me. You didn't even meet me on an average day. You met me at my worst, and you were having a great day. Like, and I think that's one of the annoying realities of what we do is that the consistency sometimes can be a nightmare. But also, just if you have that one bad day, for me, like, especially when it's on fucking YouTube as well, after and someone can go and watch it, like, like, at least catch me without the fucking video. Like, I'm here, like, now not only do I have to take it, not only the people there are now judging me, but everyone else who does the sport is going, oh, I'll watch that fight, and they go, ooh. And then these Instagram pages pop up where there's a few shots from random fighters, and you pop up on there too.
Yeah.
You pop up again back. Oh man, I hate that.
Or,
I mean,
sometimes you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, like, it's just sometimes you feature on there positively, and then other times it's like, there I am, just getting smashed in the face, like looking like a novice. Like, and now everyone's liking it and stuff. I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm unfollowing that page and acting like that never happened.
Or if you show up on like their highlight reel.
Oh my god! I'm on a couple of highlight reels, unfortunately. I think you can take from any fight. Like, sometimes it's even fights when you win, you end up on the other person's highlight reel.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's one of the things that irritates me. When only put it up if you've won. Let me putting up shots where I've beaten you, and then you're digging out like the one shot you scored in the fight. Put it up on the fucking. That's so annoying. But I mean, I've had a day similar to yours in terms of meltdowns where it was actually at the W. It was basically the same tournament here, but I did qualify. I got to the final, but I'd done continuous, and I had a really bad decision go against me against the guy I was fighting in the points as well. So I got to the final of my points division, and I am a lot better than this guy, and I am beating him. Like, this was a legit robbery. And during the fight, I'm losing my mind. Like, the referees were terrible referees, and I'm shouting at them during the fight. Other people on the side are shouting and moaning, and I look literally they were doing this thing. I call it the underdog effect, where this guy wasn't as good as me. Clearly, I was hitting him. He had loads of people on the side cheering and screaming. And then they started giving him comeback point. I was 4 points up. I was winning 4-0, and there was 20 seconds left. He was blitzing forwards, and he was not. I don't even know if I was hitting him, but he was missing. And they were like, "Oh, stop!" And I'm like, "Why are you calling 1 point?" I'm like, "What the hell? You know, you're losing it." Like, I was absolutely losing my mind. I was shouting at the referees. I completely like broke like my my moral, like my martial arts etiquette went out straight out. I went straight into what I would class as like an English football mentality, where I was just shouting at the ref. I was like, "What are you doing?" I was swearing at them. I was having to go at everyone. I was shouting at people on the side. And then we go to sudden death, and I kick him in the ribs with a side kick. He does a step in, like body jab sort of thing, but I hit him with a straight leg, and I'm definitely first. I look around and to the ref, so obviously going for him. I lose my mind. I'm shouting at the ref. I'm in his face. Like, I'm not proud of it. all of my students are on the side. Kids, loads of them. Loads of them. I've been telling them for the last God knows how long that you do not disrespect the referee. I've been giving them every speech about respect on the mat you can possibly give someone. Yep. And here I am. I'm shouting at the refs. My head guard has been thrown a long way away. I don't know where it is. My gum shield has been spat out and then kicked. I spat it out of my mouth and I kicked it as far as I could across the room. And then Rach was shouting at me from the side, "Stop it, what are you doing? You're embarrassing us, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Shut up." Like, I'm shouting. I take off my glove and I throw my glove. I didn't look where I threw the glove. I threw the glove as hard as I could in any direction, and it hits Rachel straight in the chest. She's an aggressive person at the best of times, but if you throw a glove at her in front of the whole club and everyone else, she went insane at me. She went absolutely crazy. I wasn't hearing none of it. I'm like, "Get away from me, leave me alone." I started blaming her. "I only lost because of you. I did this because of you." You know, I'm half crying. Like, it was, it was my ultimate meltdown. I've never had a meltdown like that in my life. Like, I've got like literally like I'm like a child. I'm having a full tantrum. People are trying to talk to me. I'm like, "Get away from me, leave me alone. I just want to be on my own." And I sat down. I found a little spot on the floor, and I sat there like half crying to myself like a child for at least 2 hours, while other people were still fighting. And then I came out, and then like a child, I gathered everyone in and gave them like an apology. And my speech from then on was, "Don't do what I did. You're not allowed to do that."
You changed the speech to, "Do as I say, not as I do."
Exactly. You know, we all have bad days, but you mustn't have the day like I have. It was terrible. I think we was in a coach as well, so the journey home was even worse. But on the bright side that day, that year, that was the year I did win the Worlds. So I came second in the Nationals, and then I won the Worlds that year. But I did beat that guy 2 more times that year, which was nice. Like,
yeah, that feels good.
But yeah, that was embarrassing. I mean, even now I look back and I cringe. Like especially with me, like, I'm known as being like a respectful competitor. Like, I don't hit late. I don't do any of the annoying things. I don't trash talk people or anything like that. And then here I was, just literally having. I mean, I was like one step away from sitting on the mat and protesting, like refusing to move. I was close to that. Yeah,
I want to recount. Arbitrator.
Yeah, I was that close to doing that, and I was throwing my toys out of the pram. It was horrible. And I wasn't jealous of everyone else. So I qualified and stuff, and I wasn't like that. It was just fury. Like, it was bad refereeing. It was just like hate against the system. I felt like, I could, like, in that, I just felt like smashing everything up. I felt like going to the trophy table and just destroying it, like picking up the podium and throwing it.
Little kids walk by with their trophy, you just snatch it out of their hands, throw it on the ground, stomp on it a little bit.
This is worthless. Yeah, you know, like picking up the podium and throwing it across the room.
No one will ever respect you or this sport, kid. You're wasting your time.
It's corruption. It was so embarrassing, but I was so embarrassed that I even put up a Facebook apology to the people that witnessed my behavior.
Wow. Oh man!
I apologize to other people's students for my behavior. That's how bad it felt. Like, And it took a while for Rachel to let that one go, which is fair.
Yeah. Chucking a glove at it would probably take a bit.
Yeah, I mean, literally the head guard got launched, the gum shield got booted, and the gloves. And if I had any more equipment to take off, like, that would have been going too.
Like, you reach in, take out your cup, just chuck it at some old lady in the crowd.
Josh annoying me the most is this kid that I was already being like annoying about losing, and other people were like shouting out, "Just shut up, you lost," and stuff. People were like riling me up even more, and I'm like, "Fuck off!" Like I'm screaming at the crowd, like I'm literally like a pantomime villain. Like everyone's shouting at me. I'm trying to ruin this guy's day. I'm like, "He didn't deserve it. You didn't deserve it." I'm shouting at him. I'm shouting at his coach. Like it was a full it literally was like, get him out of here because he was like causing chaos. Like, and I never do stuff like that. But this was just, I don't know what happened. Like I literally just it was a terrible call. I mean. Like even now, I watch it back and I was like, it wasn't like, it's not like intentionally against me. It was just like they were underdogging him. Like they were literally like, they knew I was better. This guy had a big crowd. They were making loads of noise, and it was like, oh, we'll give him pity points intentionally to keep him in here. When I should have probably been winning the fight by maybe 4 or 5 points. I'm like drawing with this guy, and now I'm like in sudden death, and I knew it. Like I knew they wanted him. I was already shouting at them during the fight. I'd already what do we call it? Pre-frame them to give it to the other guy. Like, what's my behavior? Like, it's always wrong, you know. Bad day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In a tiebreaker scenario, if you've been yelling at the refs, there is nothing you can do to where they'll give you the point.
Literally, I kicked him so clean. It was so my God. I mean, in that moment, if I could just brought down like a bolt of lightning from the sky just to destroy the ring, like take out everyone, I would have done anything I could have to just. I would never attack the ref, but I mean, like I felt like I could. That's the closest I've been just to throttling one. I mean, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this to me? It was terrible. I just wanted to escape. A bit like you, I wanted to run away, but I wasn't driving the bus, but we had the bus. I had to be on the bus. It was 350 miles away from home as well, so no other way to get back.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that we've recovered pretty well from the.
Yes.
Some people that's the last time you ever see them, and that becomes like their defining feature ever.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I win a lot, but when I lose, and I've lost God knows how many times, like I've never been. Yeah, in the moment, I'm always quitting. I tell everyone I'm quitting. I'm like, not everyone, but everyone around me, doesn't it? Yeah. I try not to upset them, especially if someone close to them wants you to do. I'm like, that's it. I'm never doing it again. I'm quitting. I've had enough. I can't take this anymore and all that. Within 10 minutes, I'm planning my next training to try and, how I can improve and stuff. Like, I will always come back. I'm never going to be that. I would never, ever stop. I would never let it beat me. But I think in some ways that can be worse because I take losses harder than. I definitely take losses harder than other people do. I take them personally as well. Like some people just, I don't know how you can think. Oh, well, I fought better today. Like then people can do that. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Like the performance. If I'm fighting someone really good, I can kind of do it. But if I try and go in with that attitude, well, it doesn't matter if I don't win. That if I go in with that attitude, I lose, and then I'm double worse once I've lost. I have to go in like not so much winning, but more like I've got to fight good. Like fighting good. If I do fight really good, I'm okay with losing. But even then, I can't lose at anything. I'm terrible. I can't lose at a game of cards like without being a little bit angry about it. Like I think that's the sign of a proper competitor. I don't understand anyone who can't do that. Like anyone who can be okay with being like losing stuff. I just don't get it. I don't get it at all.
I've been in plenty of Call of Duty matches where abruptly I'm ripped from the game. I'm right about to headshot this poor scrub, and next thing I know, I just see, oh, Craig Harrington has left the match and brought you with him.
Dragging you down into his pit of misery.
That's right. I'm like, I'm in first place. I got this. Why are we in the lobby? Into the new match. That last one was bullshit.
Yeah. Oh man, it's true. You do like. I remember the losses so much more than I remember the wins.
Yes. Yeah. I think I remember more of my losses than more of my wins.
Yeah. I don't even like telling the stories about winning. Like the stories about losing are tend to be the funnier ones, and they tend to be the ones that
Yes.
you can tell, like, other people can learn from. Like, I try and make people learn from my mistakes. You know, that meltdown was one of them. Just don't do that.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
you
like,
don't want to be on.
yeah. I say it's good for our people. Like, when I say our people, like our students and stuff, like we obviously
Yeah.
don't want them to see us like that, especially regularly. But to see us like
Yeah.
come back from that kind of stuff, because like for me, like I remember after that loss, I dropped Madeline off, and I just went right back to the school. And I was like, I have to go and punish myself somehow by training really, really hard. And I did.
That's what I do. So
Yeah.
that's a sick mentality to do that. Like, I do that. I'm like, you fought bad. You're going on the treadmill 3
That's
hours.
right. That's right. I'm going to make you suffer physically now. But I mean, as long as like it doesn't become unhealthy for you, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, like for me, like you know, I like telling the story, you know, because it is funny, you know. Even though I do kind of find it weird that how some of my, you know, really good friends in the martial arts, they laugh really hard when I tell them about how bad I lost. I feel like they should be a bit more supportive of me, but whatever. No, but
that's
I like telling
so
the story.
good. I tell other people it.
Yeah, because it follows up with that following year. That's when we went to Scotland, and me, you, and Rachel all won our divisions. We all took first place.
100%.
That was probably the best feeling ever.
That was a great day.
Oh yeah.
There's no better that they do. It does make like it. I think you need to lose. Like, I think you need to lose sometimes to give you that extra push. Like I said, that one in Romania, when I came back, I was so angry that I didn't get selected for the team. Like, that I spent the next year hammering all of the people I was going after the people that were on the team, like with me. I was like looking for them. I was going to tournaments where they were, and I was beating them. And I was beating the coaches, students that didn't put me on the team. I was so like desperate to kind of like prove them wrong about that. What you saw one bad day, but you're now going to see a whole good year. You know, that was the year I placed in. That's what I mean. After that was in November, and then when we got round to the year after, I placed in the Irish Open, and I think on that day I was the only, and in that year I was the only person that was on the British team that got a medal in the men's points division. So, like, I definitely had a comeback, and that year I just had an awesome year that year, and you know, I think I can look back and say that moment was the moment that I decided that when I got back from Romania, I was just going to train like a maniac and, you know, spend the next year just proving them wrong. Like, and that was just an unbelievable year of fighting.
Yeah.
Like, I need that. I like to have someone against me. Like, I feel like someone's against me to be like, so fuck you. Like, I can do this, and I'm going to show you to do how. Like, I think everyone needs that. I haven't had that for a long time. I haven't needed it anymore, but I needed it then. You know.
Yeah, it gives you that like hard, solid purpose to train.
Yeah, exactly. Even if it's not real, because I mean, them guys it was probably nothing personal. You know, I probably look into it way harder than it was. Like, maybe they weren't ignoring me. Maybe they were just focusing on the other guys or whatever. Like, you know, I was probably being a little bit immature about the way it went, but you know, I took it so hard. Like, I was like, do you know what? Fuck you. Like, this is like, I went out that year and just annihilated it. Like, but you know, and then it pushes you on, doesn't it? But you have to lose. You know, I say to our guys, like, you're gonna have, you know, your best stories are going to be the ones where you lose, and you're going to have loads of them. So get used to it, because our sport is not a sport where you can win every fight. Like, elite freak people, like, I mean, I would consider myself an elite level fighter, but there's people above. There's a niche level of people like Jardy, Elijah, Raymond Daniels, them kind of guys that do go a long time without losing. But for everyone else in that kind of top level bracket, you know, you're going to lose a lot. You know, you're going to go to a tournament. If you do 3 divisions, you ain't going to win all of them normally. You know, you're going to lose at some point each time you go normally. So, you know, get used to that feeling, because it's going to be there all the time.
Oh yeah,
and,
yeah. You have to learn how to take the losses and
definitely, like,
and how to push past them.
Yeah, it is. It's all about, because how many people are still there from when you started? Like, I can say my generation, I'm the last survivor. Like, Elijah was the generation that came after me, but the people that I fought with or were fighting when I came up are no longer there. Not a single one of them. When I was in my early 20s and late teens, there's none of them guys left.
Oh wow!
They all went. As soon as it started getting hard in the men's divisions, they all dropped off, you know. And that's what it's like over here, you know. Elijah's and there's a few other guys. I don't know all of them. Chris Aston's still around. He was one of my generation sort of that came through. Like, but what, 2 of us out of God knows how many hundreds of people that used to do competitions. You know, losing in our sport is a hard thing to go through because, you know, you might lose 10-0 to someone, and then the next achievement for you might be losing to them 9-1. So, you know, it's going to take you a long time to churn things around. You know, it's tough, man. Like, it is tough. But that's part of the that you have to be a strong person to do our sport.
Oh yeah.
You do not have 45 minutes or 90 minutes, however long the match is, to get back in it, or rely on someone to drag you through, or even have excuses. Like I said, we've got no excuses. You've got nothing. It literally is all you. No excuses. No one to blame. Like, no one. Like, there is nothing anyone else can do for you on the mat except give you a bit of advice on the side. Like, it is tough, you know, and that's why I think losing comes so hard, because it's personal, isn't it? When it's just you, it's personal.
Yeah, and like, you know, if it was like a boxing match where it's like, you know, multiple rounds, you know, where maybe you know, some rounds you win, some rounds you lose, some rounds, you know, could have gone either way. We got 2 minutes, man, and we have to be on it for that 2 minutes, because if you're not, you're done for the rest of the day, weekend, week, and you just wasted all that money.
Oh, that's the thing. It's not exactly someone paying you to do it, is there? Like,
no. Yeah.
Man, that hurts. That hurts.
Yeah, it does, man. That's the thing too. Like you definitely have to be some kind of crazy to do this sport, because like you know, we pay all of the costs for it.
Yeah. But I don't think there's many adrenalizing sports as point fighting. Mm-hmm. Like, it is when you're doing it, it is electric. The atmosphere is electric. Like, it is a buzz, isn't it? At the end of the day, like, that's why I think we do it. It's almost like doing any kind of, like, I don't know, like skydiving and stuff. I know it's not the same as that, but I mean, it is that feeling of nerves you get before. It just puts you on that kind of level, doesn't it? There's nothing like standing in front of someone knowing you're about to punch and kick them, and you've only got 2 minutes to prove that you're better than them. It makes it even crazy. And it's going to be like full speed. It is like, it's like Formula One and I don't know, chess or something like that. All mixed together, all crammed into one mental 2 minute round, where you've got hope that 3 old men that used to do the sport 30 years ago and now 65, 70 years old can see things that are happening. Or someone's parent who's decided to become a referee, has never watched it before, can identify a good martial arts technique.
They couldn't throw a proper punch to save their life, but here they go picking on yours.
Also hope that the person refereeing isn't from the other person's club. I mean, we do the weirdest sport.
That happens more than that happens. Yeah. Could you imagine if, you know, in like an MMA match, you know, like George St. Pierre's head coach was also the center ref.
Break.
We're lucky enough to have situations sort of like that.
Slippery mats, like, we've had it all.
Imagine,
like, we have it is a nut sport. You know, is there going to be mats? That's not.
What kind of surface am I going to be fighting on today? I don't think a boxer has ever had to wonder that.
No.
I don't think Floyd Mayweather during any of his fights ever go, am I going to be fighting on mats or concrete or carpet or tennis courts? What am I fighting on today? Pretty sure he always like, canvas, here we go.
Yeah, oh God, we do the craziest thing, like, and we expect it to be consistent. That's the worst thing. That's why you lose. You never can, like, with the exception of your story at the WKCs. I mean, in every fight, you can probably say at least 3 of the points were strongly debatable.
Yes.
And a lot of the time people win by 1 or 2. So it's like you literally have been the victim of, like, averages in terms of, like, referee performance so many times. That coming off, like, that's why a lot of people do stop, I think, and they do take the losses worse with that, because there is no. With it. Yeah, I mean, the attempts at becoming professional are pushing forward, but you still go to a tournament, the referees don't know the rules, or they're interested in the weird rules, you know, like, they're focusing more on, like, punishing you for wearing a glove that's not like connected at the thumb than they are like about if the other person's actually throwing punches at you or running with their arm out like a javelin. Like,
oh, yeah. I remember like at the Irish Open, like they made a huge deal because I was wearing that Under Armour with the long sleeves. It's like you can't have that. I'm like, why?
Yeah. Yes.
What does this possibly do?
Yeah, some places are like, oh, well, you're wearing jeans coaching, like, or you're not allowed to wear I don't know, like, I think it's like trainers coaching or something. I some weird rules like that, but they know their rules better than they know that you should pull a punch back when you hit someone.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
man,
or just because you touched someone doesn't mean it technically was a martial arts move. Like,
yeah.
Oh man, or they moved first. Oh my god, they moved first. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, how many times you stood there and lost a fight because the other person moved first but didn't even hit you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. First. Yeah. That's what we'll have to do. We'll have to have you back on and like we'll just kind of like go over some of like the nightmares that we've seen.
Yeah.
In our sport, some of the most unprofessional things we've seen. That'd be good.
The worst. Yeah, we should do that. The worst thing is like you think you can't like. I'm desperate to do all that again. Right now, I'm desperate to go through all of that again. I'll do anything right now to get back on that. I can't wait.
I'll fight on the worst match possible.
Give me 3 reps from the other person's team. I don't care. Give me 3 reps of one arm, and I go. And that arm points towards the other person. I'll take it.
Oh. Well, man, I feel like that's a good spot to wrap up, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. It's good to catch up.
Oh, God, we've been on it ages.
I know.
Nice. Perfect.
Heck yeah, man.
That was a good chat, man. Thank you. That was awesome.
That was good. Very, very much appreciated.
The greatest story ever told.
It's a good one. I know my students like it.
Oh, yeah. My guys loved it when you told it here as well.
All right, man. Well, Craig, I really, really appreciate all of you guys who are listening and sticking around. I appreciate all of you guys. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Thank you much.
That was fun. That was
perfect.